Very good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about IUCN. What is IUCN? International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. So this is the abbreviation of IUCN. IUCN is an international organization working in the field of nature conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. IUCN is the global authority on the status of the natural world and the measures needed to safeguard it. It is involved in data gathering and analysis, research, field project and education. What is the vision of IUCN? The vision of IUCN is a just world that values and conserves nature. Now, the mission of IUCN. What is the mission of IUCN? The mission of IUCN is to influence, encourage and assist societies throughout the world to conserve the integrity and diversity of nature and to ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. IUCN has a membership of over 1,400 governmental and non-governmental organizations. It is the world's oldest and largest global environmental organization. The organization is best known to a wider public for compiling and publishing the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, which assesses the conservation status of species worldwide. How does IUCN work? Through its member organization, the IUCN supports and participates in environmental scientific research, promotes and helps implement national conservation legislation, policies and practices, and operates or manages thousands of field projects worldwide. What is IUCN classification? IUCN Red List of Threatened Species is one of the most well-known objective assessment system for classifying the status of plants, animals and other organisms threatened with extinction. The International Union for Conservation of Nature unveiled the assessment system in 1994. What are the categories of IUCN Red List? Data deficient, least concern, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, extinct. So these are all the different categories of IUCN Red List. Let me see each category in detail. So first, what is data deficient? Species as ones where there is inadequate information to make a direct or indirect assessment of its risk of extinction based on its distribution and or population status. So this is called data deficient. Next category is least concern. So what is least concern? Species that has been categorized by the IUCN as evaluated as not being a focus of species conservation. They do not qualify as threatened, near threatened or conservation dependent. So next category is near threatened. What do you mean by near threatened? A taxon is near threatened when it has been evaluated against the criteria but does not qualify for critically endangered, endangered are vulnerable now, but is close to qualifying for a threatened category in the near future. Next category is vulnerable. So what do you mean by vulnerable? Species which has been categorized by the IUCN as likely to become endangered unless the circumstances threatening its survival and reproduction. It is therefore considered to be facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. So this is called vulnerable. Next category is endangered. Species seriously at risk of extinction. A species considered to be facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild, it is called as endangered. Another category is critically endangered. Species is one that has been categorized by the IUCN as facing an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. As of 2020, there are 6,811 species that are considered to be critically endangered. So next category is extinct. So what do you mean by extinction? Extinction is the termination of a kind of organism or a group of kinds, usually a species. The moment of extinction generally considered to be the death of the last individual of the species, although the capacity to breed and recover may have been lost before this point. So it is called as extinct varieties or extinct species. So these are all the different categories of red list of IUCN. Extinct, no reasonable doubt that the last individual has died. Extinct in the wild, known only to survive in captivity, cultivation or well outside its natural range. Critically endangered, facing extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. Endangered, facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild. Vulnerable, facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. Near threatened, close to qualifying or likely to qualify for a threatened category in the near future. Least concern, population is stable enough that it's unlikely to face extinction in the near future. Last, data deficient, not enough information on abundance or distribution to estimate its risk of extinction. So these are all the different categories of red list of IUCN. See the picture, this is one example for critically endangered species, Himalayan brown or red bear. Next, one example for endangered species is red panda. India, a mega diverse country with only 2.4% of world's land area, accounts for 7 to 8% of all recorded species. It includes over 45,000 species of plants and 91,000 species of animals. The country's diverse physical features and climatic conditions have resulted in a variety of ecosystems such as forest, wetland, grassland, desert, coastal and marine ecosystems. So what do you mean by hotspot? A biodiversity hotspot is a biogeographic region with significant levels of biodiversity that is threatened by human habitation. There are about 34 globally identified hotspots. Why it is important? It is very important because the hotspot is due to the high vulnerability of habitats and high irreplaceability of species found within large geographic regions, social cultural values given the richness of hotspot ecosystems. Hotspots are often areas which offer essential ecosystem services. So biodiversity hotspot, it's very important. 4 of 34 globally identified biodiversity hotspots are found in India. They are the Himalayas, the Western Ghats, the Northeast, the Nicobar Island. India became state member of IUCN in 1969 through the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. IUCN was founded on 5th October 1948 at Gland, Switzerland. So what is IUCN? IUCN is International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. It is the global authority on the status of the natural world and the measures needed to safeguard it. So this is about IUCN. That's all about today's class. Thank you.